Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Gregs coming to you on the 13th of August 2020. And I'm coming to you today with a little bit of a message of hope. I on this channel often bring you things that you need to worry about, reasons you need to prep. And believe you me, this day and time, there are plenty of them. But it also behooves me to tell you things that maybe you shouldn't worry about as much. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about why Nibiru comes not this way. It is something that I have to say. I often get asked in my live chats. In fact, almost every live chat session, somebody's asking me about Planet X, Nibiru, about comets and debris coming to Earth, about asteroids just going to be hitting us next month or the month after. There are YouTube channels that talk a lot about this. There are much bigger channels than mine. And someone said, I've got an inside source from FEMA, you know, the Federal Emergency Management Association Administration. Now, I got this, I got that, I got this content, I got that content. Well, I am a prepper. I am involved in power grid defense. I work space. I'm in a space community. I do space day and night. I'm a member of various space societies. You check out my Facebook site, you're going to see that I've got almost 5,000 friends, and maybe a third of them are astronomers. So why is Greg Allison not so worried about Nibiru? Okay, we're going to get into that. I'm going to show you some pictures and things to help illustrate this point. I'm not saying that an asteroid couldn't hit Earth. That's always a possibility. I'm just saying the probability of it happening tomorrow morning may not be astronomically high. Now, caveat, the book of Revelations talks about certain things that read to me like impactors. And that merits some discussion. It merits discussion in this context. I'll bring that up in another video. So when you look at, you know, great mountain, you know, flaming mountain thrown into the ocean, to me that sounds like an asteroid. The star that opens the bottomless pit, wormwood, all the things falling from the heavens, yes. And the effects on the world that happens afterwards, those fit interestingly well for something written 2,000 years ago. How do they know these things? Okay, that merits future discussion. But today we're talking about Planet X, Nibiru. And let's get into that. Before we do it, let me do some screen shares here. And I'm going to screen share my, let's start here. Yeah, you do need to prep. There are things that could hit us, no doubt. So with that said, if you check out my Patriot Supply, you can go to it with prepwithgreg.com. So if you go to prepwithgreg.com, it will take you to this My Patriot Supply link, and you get special off. Hey, check this out. $100 off a 1 month, 4-week supply of good, yummy food. You get 2 of these big tubs here. Man, you can't beat that. A whole month off. And yeah, that's what all you get. I'm not going to go deeply in this. I've talked about this before. But you could also go and check out, just click right there on My Patriot Supply logo. It takes you into their website, all kind of prepping supplies in here. You can support my channel by doing this. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. The preposition of my channel, so if you survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That said, I'm going to close this link. Make more room here in this video. So, look at that. Oh, yeah, there is a meeting tonight. Go to hal5.org. If you might catch me tonight doing a live share, I'm in a live presentation on my habitat. All that said, okay, let's look at spaceweather.com. This is one of the best sites to go to for what's going on in space weather. Yeah, I'm going to go here first. So when you go into spaceweather.com, you can see what's going on with the sun, sunspot projections. You can find all kind of good stuff in here. Talking here about 3 comets going around the sun, solar flares, projections for solar flares, you know, meteorites, meteor showers, all kind of stuff. But you can find out stuff about cosmic rays, what flights are safe, or not so safe, projections of how, you know, cosmic rays have been going up. But the part that you might find interesting, these are the known near-Earth asteroids, NEOs, near-Earth objects, that will be coming our way through October. In this case, it's 7th October. This gets updated, you know, every few weeks to show what's coming at us. You know, it covers a window of just a, you know, couple months. But you can always go to the host site at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which you can think up here, and get more detail for these asteroids over a good long period of time, not just the ones that's coming more immediately last. A lot of people have asked me about this 2011 ES54. 2011 ES54 is 30 meters in diameter. Well, that's about a football field. Yeah, if that hit, it could do a lot of damage if it hit the ground. If it's an iron core type asteroid, it could indeed hit the ground and make a ginormous crater, and that would not be a pretty picture. It could blow up in the atmosphere if it's a stony Cron type asteroid, which most of them seem to be. Different kind of asteroids. I can get into that. I'll cover that in a future video on my other channel called Galactic Griggs. Check out Galactic Griggs. That's my space channel. So I'm in here just for the prepping aspect of it. Now, what you might want to know is this is going to come in, the LD is lunar distance, at 0.3 lunar distance. So that's kind of a round number, 0.3, but that's pretty close. A lunar distance is 238,900 miles. So if you multiply that times 0.3, you get 71,670 miles. That's 3.11 times the distance to the geosynchronous satellites that orbit the Earth. Geosynchronous is the orbit where at that distance from the Earth, a satellite goes around Earth once every 24 hours. So it's always hanging over the sky at the same point. So if you do that and go to that, you will find that we have had asteroids come in under that orbit, which that's a little bit more of a scare. This is 3.11 times farther out. So the probability of impacting on us is not something I'm going to lose any sleep over, because these things are whizzing by all the time. Sometimes they do come in under the geosync satellites. That gets a lot of attention. But bear in mind, even Earth is kind of small inside of that circle, because Earth is 4,000 miles in diameter. So if you look at something that's got a radius out of 23,000 miles, as opposed to a radius of 4,000 miles, you're not getting an idea of the scale. Quite a bit different there, right? So that gives you some idea about these distances. So if you want to see this, if you go in and click here, it will take you into the website. You can scroll down. And this is pretty cool, because you can do a time lapse going forward from the date. Now, I hate when things update, move just as you like to click things, right? All right, so the red orbit's Mars. I wonder why. The blue orbit is the water planet Earth. Venus is purple, and Mercury's violet. I don't know how to choose these colors, but Venus and Mercury, that's interesting. But you can see here a distance from the sun for this object coming around the asteroid we just talked about, 2011 ES4. You can see also Earth distance, how far it is from Earth at a given point in time. And this is the date projected here. This is today's date, the 13th. So I can project this forward just by clicking through here. One click at a time throws it through, you know, a day at a time. Now you can also play it as a movie, but I'm going to just kind of click it through, and you can see it approaching Earth here. Here's Earth clicking forward. Here's the asteroid, and it will approach Earth. Now at this distance, this far out, you know, it looks like a collision, even though it's quite a miss. So you can see it get really close at this scale, and then it keeps going around as it goes. Now this is a great depiction of the solar system, by the way, because it does depict something else. Now this object is actually orbiting the sun a little faster than Earth. There are many kinds of orbits. There's circular orbits, and then there's orbits that are more elliptical. A comet comes in from a highly elliptical orbit. The distance from the parent body that something's orbiting, how far out it goes, depends on how much energy it's orbiting with. The more energy you put it in, the higher its apogee or apex of its orbit. Perigee is the low point. G is around Earth. For the sun, it would be aphelion of the sun's helios, right? So the aphelion of, we'll see where the aphelion here is with this thing. It's going to hit it pretty quick in this orbit. Like just keep going around, playing it. The aphelion is when it's at the furthest point from the sun. And you can see it actually is kind of close to Mars. So this thing is actually going faster than Earth. And the reason I'm showing you this is I get two things out of it. A lot of people have been saying that Planet X is coming in, Nibiru, whatever we'll call it, from the other side of the sun. We can't see it because it's on the other side of the sun. It's like always on the other side of the sun. Well, my friends, that don't work because there's only one. Earth goes around the sun once a year. If something's coming in from the other side of the sun, it's got to be all the year on the other side of the sun. Anything coming in from the outside to hide on the other side of the sun all the time, it would actually have to be in Earth orbit. It's the only way that works, because sooner or later you're going to see this as Earth swings around the sun back and forth. So it would have to be in Earth orbit. Now, if it's in Earth orbit, it's traveling the same velocity as Earth. It's in the same orbit as Earth. If there was something on the other side of the sun from Earth orbit, we'd never see it, because we can't see through the sun until we get a probe going over the poles of the sun. Maybe if it looks in that direction, it might see an asteroid or something, right? That's actually one of the Grange points, a somewhat stable point to put an object. So, you know, if the space aliens wanted to hide from us, that would be the ideal place, right? Just kidding. Just kidding. It's not live action role play, okay? So, no, we don't see any objects that big hiding in the planetary orbits of opposite from the sun of our other planetary bodies. So the chances of anything being over there, and if it was over there, it wouldn't come to us. So the reason I talk about this is as follows. Let's go to some of these other solar system images. Again, we see a comet coming in here. And as the Earth goes around, you're going to at some point see that comet. Now, this is not to scale. This solar system is far from being to scale. But what you can know is that, so for example, Earth would be about a dot compared to the sun. If it was to scale, and these orbits would be much farther out, because the Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. Jupiter, by comparison, Jupiter is 478, it's over, I said 93 million miles from the sun, excuse me. 93 million miles from the sun, Earth to the sun. Now, Jupiter is 47,853 million miles from the sun. It's way out there. So Jupiter is much farther out than Earth. Now, the funny thing is that amateur astronomers on Earth, I mean people with telescopes in their backyards essentially, spot comets almost as soon as they get to the orbit of Jupiter, almost without fail. They spot comets. Comets have not yet, when they're out that distance, started outgassing much. They're very tiny. They don't have the big tails because the sun is what heats them up and causes the gases to start spewing off the surface and building the tails. So they're still just an object coming in, and they spot them because they're moving. It's the motion that they detect quite readily. Way out at the orbit of Jupiter, quite usually. And amateur astronomers use the first ones to see because they're looking wide sky, whereas professional observatories are usually looking at a more narrow section of the sky, studying something in particular. So it's more often than not that an amateur astronomer will discover the sun before the professional one does. Quite often, not always, but that happens so much. It's hard to sneak a comet up on us in the solar system, especially coming into the inner solar system. That being the case, how in the world are you going to sneak up a giant planet or a star, a brown dwarf, or anything like that into our solar system without anybody seeing it? If a star like that was coming, or a planet that big, it would be seen probably when it's out at the Kuiper Belt or further out. So this whole idea that we've got astronomers actively looking for Planet X and been for decades, and they've not actually found it. Some people say, oh, well, this guy back in the 60s talking, well, no. They were modeling perturbations in the orbits of Jupiter and Neptune. And once they discovered that Pluto was not sufficiently massive to cause those, they knew that something else might be out there. But today, the typical logic is, well, maybe it's just the aggregate mass of the debris in the solar system itself. This is a picture of Jupiter in orbit inside. This picture depicts Trojan asteroids in the Lagrange points of Jupiter, the main belt asteroids. And you can see the Earth inside. There are some asteroids that go inside Earth's orbit, but just a few. And of course, these specks are tiny objects. Usually, they look almost as big as Earth in this depiction, but it's a depiction so you can understand things. And again, it's not truly to scale. Also, look here, there's another class of asteroids over here, just opposite from the Jupiter, the Hildas. So there's quite a few asteroids in our solar system. So let me end that little presentation, that picture. See if there's anything else in the solar system you might want to look at. You know, we have a Kuiper belt. It's just the inner solar system's in here. You've got a belt of objects further out that's known as a Kuiper belt. And then the next level out would be the Oort cloud. I don't know if that's depicted in here. The Oort cloud would be much further out. Here we go. So the inner solar system is about way down in here, with even with the Kuiper belt right in here. This would be the Oort cloud, way out here. Now, the Oort cloud may have asymmetries, and so may have the Kuiper belt, especially Oort cloud. If most of the objects are in belts or bands on one side, it may have the looks and appearance gravitationally that would be equivalent to some other large planet. Now, it may be that Earth got too close, or our sun got too close to a star in the past, and some of these objects got pulled over, kind of lopsided to one side or the other, and it may cause those perturbations. That is kind of what the astronomers are beginning to think today, because they're having such a hard time finding another planet out there, a Nibiru, or whatever you want to call it. So let's go back here to share screen one more time. So let's look here. Yeah, here's another depiction of the solar system, and you know, I'm just showing an idea. You know, Earth is out here. Here's Earth. Yes, this is not the scale. It's kind of hard to track. Like I said, nothing is going to sneak up on us from being on the other side of the sun. That's just all there is to it. So I'm not saying that an asteroid can't get us, because there are asteroids that we haven't found yet, and that's a fact. Asteroids, some of them, especially carbonaceous asteroids, are almost black. They're hard to see. And yeah, occasionally asteroids will come at us from on the other side of the sun, from toward the sun. So those are harder to see. But the comets are bigger sometimes than some asteroids, although we have an asteroid. We have a couple really large asteroids in Ceres. They are round. They're kind of planet-like, because again, the gravity causes them to get round. Yeah, that's something else we'll have to talk about in galactic gravities. Once you have enough gravity, you assume a spherical shape, and you know, contrary to some people's notions that everything is a flat Earth. So, all right, we'll stop this share. We'll talk about that enough, okay? Suffice it to say that, you know, if this cup is the sun, and Earth is orbiting around it, the only way that you can be on the other side of the sun is if you're in the same orbit and you're going the same speed, and you never see it. That's the moon, right? And that's Earth. And this cup I got many years ago when I worked on something called Space Station Freedom Program for Grumman. That's not really focusing, is it? Oh, there we go. Let me see the logo. I wonder, was a company called Grumman that's now north of Grumman. Yeah, that's how far I go back working professionally in the space realm. So I've got lots of friends who are astronomers. There are observatories that are still up. Yeah, a lot of them have been closed for the COVID stuff, whatever, but a lot are still open. So I wouldn't worry about, you know, a great probability that we're going to get hit tomorrow morning by something like that. It's possible. It's always possible. In the long term, the chances are that one of these things will utterly wipe us out. That's why I advocate civilization having its eggs not in one basket, not just in Earth, but spreading through the cosmos. That, I think, is the ultimate way that we can preserve our species, so that we don't have all our eggs in one basket, and we can green the cosmos. We can spread life. I mean, the asteroids are just dead rocks floating around. We can give them sentience. We can bring them to life, and I think that's a beautiful thing. They're just going to beat on each other, eventually collide with the planets. So why don't we make some good use out of them? And the sunlight streaming from the sun, and bring more life to the universe, green the cosmos. That's the ultimate Green Greg's objective, to green the cosmos. But, you know, right now we've got to survive where we're at. And there are many threats to us. I just did a video about the top 5 risks for the end of the year. Natural disasters was at the end of the list, and an impact would indeed be a huge natural disaster. But that wasn't the top of my list. It was the last thing I mentioned. It's real. And something like this could utterly wipe out civilization. One big enough might even extinguish life on Earth. But life on Earth has been resilient and been around for billions of years, although we've had major extinctions. And by the way, it doesn't take a major extinction to wipe out civilization. Civilization is far more fragile than what it takes for a major extinction event. So you need to understand and appreciate that. And I've done videos on the fragility of our civilization. And I've also talked about things like a nuke in every pot, how we can bring that about a lot faster. And of course, they seem to be doing an excellent job of that right now. So we do have things to be concerned with. I will tell you, the most important thing that you can do is grow your own garden. And for that, I would suggest highly that you go to True Leaf Market. And if you go to True Leaf Market, you can grow your own seeds. You can take care of yourself. So let me go back here and do another share here. Hang on. Give me just a second. I'm going to share this screen. I'm going to show you how to find. People have often told me, Greg, I don't know how to find these links from your videos. That kind of surprises me. So what I'm going to do here is show you a couple of ways to do that. And so you go to my channel. Oh, by the way, if you want to find all the links on my channel, just click videos. You'll find all my videos. That way it's not divided into playlists, which are limited. Here is my video, Top 5 Risks to the End of 2020. That you ought to see. Click on it. We don't want to play the video, so I'll stop it. And we'll come in and we'll go to, you can go to channel notes, which you hit show more here. And you can find this link here to True Leaf Market. It says True Leaf Market. Or you can close that. You can find that also, show this, by my pinned note. I usually put a pinned note in most of my videos. Now, I don't always put these notes in my live stream videos, but in videos like this, I typically do. So what you can do is you come in here and find my note from Green Gregs at the very top. And you see it's got prepwithgreg.com. You click read more. It'll show you the link to True Leaf Market again. And also videos that you can watch, other videos that I've done. If you go to True Leaf Market, you go in here, you can order your seeds. You need heirloom seeds and you need garden supplies. This is a great place to go get them. It supports my channel if you do that. I'm not going to go through here and show you everything, but they do tell you how to grow stuff. That's the cool thing about it. So, my friends, I'm stop the share. I'm not going to go into this any further, as I've already talked and stuff enough. Be sure you subscribe to my channel if you've not already done so. Bang that notification bell, because I'm going to bring more videos to you about how to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That's my 3 precepts of this channel, what we're all about. I'm also trying to working to form survival tribes. I've got a couple of active groups right now, and other people, and so several other locations we've got maybe 300 or better emails from people that, actually it's more than that are interested in that. So if you email me at halfispace@aol.com, I will send you, put tribes in the header, subject line, in the subject line, then I will put tribes, what's on the bottom. I will send you an email asking you some questions so we can figure out how to integrate you with other groups where you best fit, about your skill sets and things like that. If you're interested in my Future Freedom Foundation, put freedom in the header. But Nibiru comes not this way. That is what Greg Allison's got to say. It's not going to be here in September. There are channels that are out there who say, well, we got the inside sources and you're going to know this by September. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say, nope, that ain't happening. You may have other things going on. Go back and see my top 5 risks to the end of 2020. There's plenty of things to be concerned about, but this is one that you shouldn't be losing any sleep over. Don't mean an asteroid won't hit us. No, don't mean that at all. It means that we don't have a planet or an identified debris field coming in at us in that near term. So if we did, somebody out there in my network of friends and astronomers would know it. Hey, I've got astronomer friends that go to the farmers market. I'm in Madison, Alabama. You can't, in Huntsville, Alabama, excuse me, but my farmers market is Madison. It's like it's right next to Huntsville. A lot of people from Marshall Space Flight Center are there. I've got an astronomer friend that shows up there every week, and she walks around pretty not scared to death. Okay, she doesn't look like she's really worried that something's about to take her out. So trust me, there's a lot to worry about, but that's not a thing that I'm losing sleep over right now. And so, and everybody says, "Oh, Greg, you're all doom and gloom." How about that? I'm here bringing you something that's not doom and gloom, because I hear this all the time. But there are many channels out there far bigger than mine. I mean, 10 times bigger and more, that are telling you, "Oh my gosh, it's about to hit us. It's about to hit us." There's also all these channels that show all these pictures of this like second sun or something behind the sun, and say, "Oh, there it is. There's Nibiru. There it is." There's lens flares. They're just lens flares. They've been putting that stuff out there for 20 years. For over 20 years, since the year 2000, even before the year 2000, there were people predicting that Nibiru was about to swing around from the other side of the sun any second now and smack Earth. So for 20 years, every day, this thing's about to swing around the sun any instant and smack Earth. You know, it gets a little old after 20 years of crying wolf. So Greg Allison has come to you saying there's one thing not to worry about. Trust me on that. Okay? So that is one thing you can rest assured of. And I'll put my neck on the line that that's not going to happen to us anytime before the end of this year. You're not going to have Nibiru coming around. It might be a comet, might be an asteroid, but it's not the field of these bodies being dragged by planet X. Okay? And that's what I got to say. Could it be a black hole going around? Yeah, maybe, but if it was that close to inside the solar system, we would see planets getting jerked around. There are other things going on. There's other things driving what's going on in the Earth. It's part of a natural long-term cycle. The sun's part of it. The planets are part of it. Right now, our magnetosphere is flipping, and that appears to be acyclic. It happens. Will it go? Will we go into full excursion? Will the magnetosphere actually flip, or the magnetic poles flip? We don't know yet. We don't know. But the field strength is weakening. The poles are moving. It's something of an excursion. That's going on right now. It's getting more intense because our power grid is at risk. And because our power grid is at risk, then that is one reason we need to prep. There's many reasons we need to prep. If that's not evident now, then I can't help you. Anyway, everyone, thank you for watching. Take care, and hope everybody gets a good night's sleep tonight without fear of Nibiru. So, trust a no Anunnaki on this topic. Rex Bear always calls me an Anunnaki. Again, this is a live LARP session, live action role play, right? Anyway, again, thank you.